Okay, with the director of Birthday Blues, a film from Luxembourg, Elisabet. I don't want to. You have to say your last name. I'm going to get it wrong. How do you pronounce your last name?
Johannes' daughter. So the daughter of Johannes, because I'm
Johannes
Icelandic.
daughter. I could do that, right? Johannes
Yeah,
daughter.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it doesn't spell that, but basically, but it's like that. That's an easy one. So really great film. Congratulations on. Hopefully, it's doing well on the festival circuit. It's about a film about relationships, about a couple, right?
Yeah, sort of about a couple on the back end of theirs.
The back end. You wrote the
Yeah.
screenplay, correct?
Yes, I adapted it from a play that I wrote. I wrote a full-length play and I pitched the idea and then I changed it to the screen and to Luxembourg. But I'd written a two-hander about a couple and like the 10 years that it took from beginning to end. And that was the middle part. It was the opening of Act Two, and it's about her finding out she's pregnant and having a hard time telling him the truth and kind of trapping him with the hypotheticals of the conversation as opposed to letting him in on the fact that she's really asking
Yeah.
what he,
Well,
so yeah.
there's nuance and complexity with both characters, right? Both characters are in the right, both characters are in the wrong.
Oh,
It's like a normal relationship, right?
I love flawed people.
Yeah.
I try to divide them evenly in my character conflicts. I think they both have their flaws for sure.
Well, that's what
But
makes it great writing. So was the play produced? Was the play like on stage?
not yet. I submitted to Austin Film Festival for their playwriting, and I got into the second round, so it just kind of encouraged me to keep going. But I still feel like I want to rewrite it before I actually produce it. Because now that I've done this, this is like this has further like me wanting to dig into that story again and see if I can change anything. I feel like it's hard to find out when I'm done writing. That's like the
Yeah, you
hardest.
never are. That's the problem, right?
No,
So yeah,
there's always opportunities
yeah,
to change things and because I
yeah.
got so much great feedback from your festival, the audience feedback, and then when we screened it here because it was aired on television in Luxembourg and it had a cinema screening, and just hearing people's thoughts on it and where it landed with people was so interesting to me. So it made me want to go and revisit the whole thing.
So how long is the play? How many minutes is the play?
It's a 75-page play, so maybe like an hour and 20.
So this could realistically be a feature film, I guess.
Could be. I don't know. I was a little nervous to make it work on the screen because, of course, in the play it's in one apartment and it's called Edgar Wallace doesn't live here anymore because at the beginning of the play he's moving out of this apartment,
Yeah.
and then you back in time to the first date that happens in this apartment, and the whole thing is like it's like the end of the chapters when he's actually decided to leave this place and leave this story behind. So I don't know. I've seen some good movies about like one location, but it's a very ambitious thing to pull off visually.
Yeah. No, but it could work but at the same time you can expand it to like not an apartment, a house, so it's in different places in the house or outside the house and you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Have some exteriors for the emotional context of the scene, right? So
yeah,
yeah. But this is a great one. Because it does start in the car, right? So it does start where she's looking at you kind of tell to get the audience in the movie itself like we're into it because it's like the first scene is like she's looking at the ultrasound, she's pregnant. We're ahead
yeah,
of the male character, right?
yeah.
So then
But
when
that's
she
I thoroughly enjoy being in on a character secret as an audience member because then there's this built-in tension of knowing their secret. And so
yeah,
that's why I thought it'd be more effective to let the audience in on it beforehand and then let the thing unravel because then you're kind of with her on like you know that, that's what he doesn't know. And at the
yeah,
end he still doesn't get to know. And so I enjoy those kind of character secrets.
yeah. Because we're assuming when I watch the film the first time, I'm assuming that she's not going to come in and go, "I'm pregnant," and they're going to jump for joy, and then the movie is going to be over, right? There's going to be some. I'm assuming there's going to be some conflict in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But there could be the assumption like, oh, she's coming home and you find out it's her birthday. So like you're kind of waiting for her to break these happy news.
yeah,
And then as it unfolds, it's like, oh, she's not gonna actually do it.
yeah.
She kind of
So tell
pulls.
me about your experience directing. How many like have you made short films before this one?
No, I just did like in film school, we'd have to like write and direct little things. I did a couple of things with my husband then, and
Yeah,
I did this with him too because it wasn't a micro budget. So I was like, okay, if I act in it, I'll save some money. And so I acted in it, and I directed him. But I'd love to do a movie next where I wouldn't be acting at all, so I could really sit behind the camera and
Mm.
direct from that perspective. Because I was kind of I just took off the director's hat on set actually because I had to focus on performance. But I
Yeah.
just prepped, and I had a wonderful DP who knew what I wanted, and we'd had some meetings, and I'd done pitched it like a visual pitch decks of like what I wanted, and I asked him if those sequence shots would work because I felt like it was the most effective way to have the audience be in the room with them like this. I wanted that. I felt like if they're longer takes, you can't really look away, like you're with them, you know?
Yeah. Speaking
And
of
so,
that, the first, okay, that she enters the house or then enters the apartment. It's about a 2 minute shot. The first shot's it's a 2 minute. Yeah. And the
yeah.
framing's excellent. It's like I don't know where you shot it, but having the divide, having that kind of thing blocking between the two of them, where yeah, that was
Yeah,
kind
that
of that's a
geography
genius.
worked really well. Like, because I kept that in the end too. Like, because even the DP was pushing me, like, don't you want to have close-ups at the end when she chooses not to tell me? I was like, but that's the whole thing. These people can't get close. It's like
Yeah,
once you're in a relationship and too many things have a mass and too much resentment and too much miscommunication, there's almost like an impossibility to bridge that gap. Because I've had breakups where I'm like, what happened? Like 4 years down the line, like you've invested time in it, and then you're like, why has everything become such a struggle? Like the smallest communications in daily life have suddenly become so fraught with tension. You're like, what? How did we get here?
yeah,
We used to like each other.
yeah.
We used to laugh together.
Because there's so much subtext in the initial. There's one argument. You're arguing about something. The subtext is about 100 other things that happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a momentum build. It's like a snowball, right? So
Yeah, and I also kind of made the thing of like he's like, "Are you mad about last night?" So you're
yeah,
already like, "Well, something went down the day before."
yeah,
But he's more literal about like he's in the now, and it's about the cake, and it's about like we're here right now. What are we negotiating here? And she's always in the bigger picture of the history, which I think as a woman, like you tend to like bring all this old stuff with, and like almost every couple has like two or three brands of arguments that they just have over and over and over again. There's like these certain conflict points, and you're going to fight about those edges that don't quite like. So I was like, what are theirs, you know? And
yeah,
it's for her, it's like she wishes he was more thoughtful. So the cake just becomes an example of like, but you just got your favorite cake and not mine. Like I
yeah,
wish you were more thoughtful. And he's like, I went out of my way and got this awesome thing for you, and I just wish you were more grateful. Like it's like the thing of like
yeah.
they both want things and they can't give them to each other anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? In relationships, it's like the person is who they are, and it's like it's
Yeah.
unrealistic expectations, right? So
But yeah, the reason I pitched it was because I got pregnant with my first kid. I have two children. They're 2 years old and 6 months old, and I was in California at the time with my husband, and it was like 1 month after Roe versus Wade was overturned,
yeah,
and I was having an emotional reaction because I didn't really plan on having my child when it came to me. So I was like a little bit overwhelmed with the news, and he just read it as like, "Oh, you're scared or whatever." He's like, "Don't worry, you still have options, you know." And I was like, "Oh my God, what kind of Handmaid's Tale like world are we moving into? Like, this shouldn't be something someone would have to console me with." And then I was like, "That's the reality now." So it just made me think like, but you don't know the microcosm of any person's life. And so I was like, what if this woman has this happy news, but then you see like the microcosm of her day, like, are they really gonna patch things up by having a child? Would that be the answer to all their problems, or would that just create new problems? So I left it open what she's gonna do about it. Like, is
yeah,
she gonna keep it? Is she gonna leave him? Is she gonna have it with like I was like, the audience can make that up. Like just like my favorite movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, is kind of a sad one about relationships, and it leaves that hope open in the end too of like, are they gonna try again? Are they gonna get to know each other all over again? Like it leaves it open. You don't know what's gonna happen.
yeah, 100%. And listen, a lot of people have been born because trying to keep a relationship together, right? So
Yeah. So I
maybe
was just
a
like,
billion of us
"Ah."
wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for that kind of
Yeah, but it's a very big life choice, and it changes everything. So I just feel like it's such a private matter, and and we live in such political times with that personal matter. So I was like, oh,
yeah,
I kind of want to make a piece that doesn't like I don't comment, I don't offer answers or solutions, but I'm like, well, but this could be like, because I think people were kind of at the screening here, they were kind of not expecting it to be so fraught with tension and conflict because I set it up with those pregnancy news. So they were expecting, oh, and then they're going to turn a corner and they're going to be happy and they're going to
Yeah.
hug. And that didn't happen.
Just out of
So
curiosity, what's the st I'm assuming it there people are pro-choice in Luxembourg. It's
in
yeah.
Luxembourg, it's still very much not a thing that women have to worry about, like
Yeah,
the
okay.
above.
I assume that it was a very kind of liberal, quote unquote, country. Yeah.
For me, it was more like the reality of raising a kid in Los Angeles versus here. It was just going to be much easier to have a creative life and sustain myself in Luxembourg because we have government funding and there's all these
Yeah.
avenues to to get projects off the ground. Whereas in LA, I just thought it's going to be us working full-time jobs and trying to squeeze in creativity on the weekends.
So you, yeah, yeah. So you have you said you have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-year-old?
6 months, yeah, the two boys, yeah, Killian and Quinn.
Wow. And so, and then when, what was the timeline when you made the movie? How old were they when you made the movie?
Yeah, I pitched it when Killian was 9 months old, and then I got the news that I got the project and I could go ahead and do it. But then a week later, I found out that Quinn was coming. So I was actually pregnant and incredibly nauseous for the entire shoot. And that was like, my secret on set was
Yeah.
not to tell people
You're doing
that
some method acting though, right? You got pregnant
yeah,
because the
for me,
surgeon,
it felt
yeah,
very easy to act it because I was like, what
yeah,
if like he's my real life husband
yeah.
and he had read the play. So I was like, oh, I just want to kind of, dig into his anxieties about like men have this thing of like wanting to be a provider and achieve certain things before they set out on it. Like, and she's like pressuring him into something that he doesn't quite see yet. Like, and I feel like that's something he could understand. And so I just
Oh, so
asked him to,
the male actor is your husband?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So then there must have been was it, dare I ask, a little bit therapeutic performing these scenes?
No, because I mean, funnily enough, that these characters I built are very far from who we are and how we
Okay.
relate to each other because humor is half the battle in our relationship. Like I
Yeah.
think humor has helped us. Like I've known him for 16 years and yeah, we just find a way to he can make me laugh when I'm mad at him, and that's very important. Like if I get mad, he has the talent to turn it to a lighter thing so I can like move past things. Like
Well,
that's what I'm about our relationship.
we know what where one child was during the filming. Where was the other? Where was the other child? Who
Oh,
was it
oh,
on set?
no, Killian had to go to my mom and to my aunt and my sister and my nieces, like because he'd never been away from me for that long because he was little.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was nerve-wracking to like leave him on his own for like that for so long.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just funny because me and Sam just knew that we were actually pregnant. So when he's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna do this movie," and now you're telling me we're gonna have another baby, and they're gonna be 18 months apart, we had like a lot of
Yeah,
our own.
that's a
Oh,
lot going on.
that's intense. So, but we enjoy fighting in fictive, like it's. I mean, because we're both actors, we enjoy a good juicy tension conflict scene where we can be raw and go for it. And I even had some improv moments that happened where like
Yeah.
he threw me a curveball or I threw him one. Um, but just within the scene, I was like we can improvise a little, but we have you know the blocking has to sort of stay how we've set it. So. But yeah.
So
But I think
there's
why people liked our performance because we have lived a life together, and even if we put on the performances, it's still, I think that kind of translated. People felt like it was real.
oh, it was, yeah, it was definitely real. And the way, like, I want to get to your drinking in a second, but I just have a quick question. He drinks a lot of beer in the film. Was it real
Yeah.
beer?
No, it was alcohol free.
Okay. Because you would have got really drunk. So basically,
Yeah, 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 yeah. But it was more about like everyone has like their little vices that they need to like lean on, and
yeah,
so I just thought it would be funny if he was just like gonna chug the beer in response to the smashing of the cake, like that's
yeah.
spiteful in a relation. Like, oh, you want to do me like this? I'll do you right back.
Okay,
Because I
so
think
where did you shoot it? Because it's the perfect location. Like
in my
it's
kitchen.
okay,
This is my kitchen.
okay. So you have the bars, you have the like literally yeah,
It's a really old house, like
yeah,
it's an old mill, so it has these architectural gems that just like that's like the old exterior wall, and then there was
yeah.
an addition in the back. So I was like, oh, can we use this to like separate them, because
Yeah,
she
it was
keeps
fantastic.
off.
Like it's genius. It's like it's so good. It's like I remember like it took me back to the final episode of Breaking Bad where they used
Yeah,
that in that scene with the husband with Walt and his wife and
yeah,
where they used that, right? They used that element and but it was like it was very like it just but obviously you did it a lot different, but it's like really you started in the film with that break like in the kitchen and
yeah,
then you end the film, you go back to it, right? Where they're divided.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I wanted it to be a circular thing because sometimes I feel like in long-term relationships, when you've had that argument over and over, like it's so frustrating that even if you like put yourself out there, even if you like, you'll still not feel an inch closer. Like I find that like the tricky part of being human is when you really just want to connect and you really just want to be seen and heard. And I think that's true for everyone. And to not be able to have that and to keep him in that box, I was like, how many men don't even know that they may have had a choice in becoming a father or not in the world, like in the grand scheme of things. Like I think that's such a big secret to keep. So I was like, how like that for me that was her flaw is that she'd rather keep it to herself than risk the vulnerability of letting him know that well that's where we're at now.
yeah,
She almost deprives him of the choice to have a discussion about it, because she leaves him in the dark. So I left him in the box.
you left it in the box, and that's the twist of the film, and that's the surprise of the film because you're assuming the way you set it up from like storytelling and conventions that eventually the final scene, the final moment is going to be you're going to tell them, but you don't tell them,
Yeah.
and that's the twist.
I just also admire people who are good at keeping those kind of secrets because I'm a verbal processor. I'm an overshare. I'm
Yeah,
way too like yeah, I'm very much an open book, I feel in that sense. So for me, characters who struggle with that and who are like close to the vest and keep these intense things like inside, I'm like, how? How do you? And it was so hard for me at the end there. Like that for me was like the hardest part was to like really buckle down on the commitment of like, I'm not going to tell him.
yeah,
That was very much against my nature. I was like, I ran to him with the pregnancy tests both times,
yeah,
like I was just like, here we are, this is happening. I need
yeah,
to talk to you. And so for me to like play a woman who is sitting on it, she's gone to the doctor to have it confirmed. It's like at the 6 week mark, she has like she's done all this on her own. She's gone on
yeah.
this solo journey with it. And that's something I could never do.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you wrote that character for you to play as well. So if you're a therapist, you can read into that, right? A little bit.
Definitely, because
Yeah,
I think I admire differences in people. Like I always admire when people have personality traits that I don't necessarily carry, and then that's why I love being an actor because then I have to figure out a way to try that code on, and make it my own. And so I just thought, well, there's got to be a boatload of resentment. That would be the only way for me to buckle down. Like, so I just lean into like, what resentments does this woman carry? Like,
yeah,
what did not happen in this relationship?
yeah.
Because everyone has hopes at the beginning of how things are going to go. And
Sure.
then I'm like, you can really lean into like, especially as a woman in my 30s, I'm 39 now. Like, if you find yourself in a relationship where your biological clock has been ticking or whatnot, and then you're like, oh, I don't think I made that. Like, it's for women, there's a huge pressure at that part of life. Like, where you're like, okay, am I going to have kids? Am I not going to have kids? Do I want kids? And so for men, it's like they could still like he can turn around and have another girlfriend in his 40s and go for it then because he doesn't have that same
Yeah,
pressure. So when he's saying
100%.
I need more time to build my career, he has a legit vantage point because he's like, well, I have time, like I still have places to go and things to do. And he doesn't have that same pressure as her, maybe, of like, well, I don't have, X amount of like, yeah. So I feel like that's also a gender thing where I'm like, I didn't think that I would like feel that, but now that I have my kids, I'm like, okay, well, at least that's answered now. I have kids now.
Yeah. That is no, it is you're 100% right. Like as a male, I totally agree with you. Right? I wanted kids, but I didn't have the same pressure, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's still like a thing where like my sister then had her two youngest sons like with a man who was already in his late 40s, and he was like,
yeah,
yeah, he had kids from a previous marriage. It's like, I'll go again, I'll have more kids. And I was like, you have the energy to do that? And he did, you know.
yeah.
Which is, but a woman can't really do that at 48. She can't be like, oh yeah, maybe. I mean, now I'm
It's
just
just
saying,
it's a lot harder and it's a lot more like health dangerous, etc. There's a lot of factors involved, right? So it's not an easy
yeah,
choice. Whereas a man, it's a more of it's an easier choice, I guess, right? So
yeah.
yeah. Plus,
And
we're not delivering the child and we're not pregnant for 9 months either. So
no, no, but I also deliberately like in the play, she's an actress and he's a director, so
yeah,
they're working in the same field, and a lot of their tensions also come from living in the same work environment. And here I was like, but I also know a lot of actors who date someone, especially who isn't, who has a different kind of job,
yeah,
different kind of responsibilities. So I also wanted to be like, there's a like the creative life asks for a lot of sacrifice, and it asks for a lot of time, and it asks for a lot of drive. And sometimes I think that people who have gone a different route professionally are like, wow, like why are you still putting all your eggs in that, like the not understanding, like why would you
yeah.
put plays above this discussion where like why is that more important to you right now?
Yeah.
That's why
There's
she
pros
comes
and
back.
cons for both, right? Like for
Yeah,
being in a relationship with somebody within the pro, there, like I can you can talk about both sides, but yeah. Okay,
yeah.
let's. I want to talk about your direct. Before I leave, I want to talk about your direction because it's really It's really nicely filmed, nicely shot, filmed, and lots. Like you said, lots of long shots, but the staging is fantastic. How did you, like you said, you kind of said you took a back seat because you're performing on the day. How did you set up the direction with your DP? Because obviously he's a big, or he or she is a big factor in shooting your film. Did you guys storyboard things? Did you have like a? Did you know exactly what you're doing? Like, how is that process?
I was more, we were really wanting to shoot film, but then we didn't have the budget because he's a
Yeah.
big film lover. And then when we went digital with it, I was just like, okay, well, how are we going to do this to make it look like cool? So I took like examples from Blue Valentine, had a bit of a cool look.
Okay.
And I found examples of people being separated by like in
Yeah.
space. And I just really leaned on condensing the apartment. I dressed it as an apartment to just have it very contained. She just goes into the living room and comes back, like to circle back into the kitchen to make it easier because um he was worried about the ceiling heights, and the boom operator was having a hard
Yeah, but
time.
also he's got to light all the scene. He's got to like when you guys are moving, everything's got to be lit too, right? And it's got to be
Yeah.
focused.
But
You
he
guys are
came
moving in
at the
and out.
same time, like we had a rehearsal before where he looked at the lighting conditions and whether we could, like, because I wanted to get away with natural light.
Yeah.
Oh, and he came and looked at like the exact time of day that we're going to be shooting, and he just like spent time here with me, and we talked about our options. And it was also a cost-effective thing to use natural lights, and then we had a bit of like lights that we put in the kitchen at the end, like through the ceiling windows, and we let the library be a bit dark. It's like we're kind of backlit by that window. And he's like, because he's like, it's okay. We don't quite know these people yet. So we don't really need to like, because this is where the tension is starting to ramp up and you guys are kind of chaotic because
Mhm.
you're like not wanting to confront it. He's like, so let's have it be a bit messy. So I was like, yes, let's go for that because I knew but I didn't have like a storyboard or anything because I knew that I wanted those things to breathe, and I only had very few rehearsals with my husband without the kid where we could actually like see. And I was like, it makes sense to come back in the kitchen. If you got the cake, like there's a subtext of like, are we ever going to eat that cake? Are we going to set the table? Like there's reasons to pull you back in there that makes sense to end it here. Because she just goes to drop off some like letters in there, and then he doesn't want to be cornered, so and
Yeah.
she's off. And I like that she comes back into the kitchen with her back and in the window. That was kind of like one of the things I wanted, is like when you have tried and then you've just decided it's not, like she's already sort of decided it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
because he always pokes her with a dad, and she's like, don't touch my grief, and then that's always the one thing that he knows, if he brings that up she'll leave. And I tried to make that a thing in their relationship. But
Yeah,
he's
it's no, it's like, but he's got to, when you're whoever the person shooting the film, he's got to keep you guys in focus the whole time. You're going in
oh
and
yeah,
out. Yeah, that's
the
not easy to
DP
do.
was focus pulling. So we just did I mean we did as many takes as time allowed. So we did at least like we shot the opening on the first day and then we didn't like the energy. I was like, oh, it's not setting it up right. It should still be more ambiguous. So we reshot the opening and took the take from the next day because I was looking for yeah, there were some times where I was already playing that I'm not going to tell you, and there was times where he was overly nice about me coming home, and I was like, it's neither. It's in between. It's like you're not expecting me home, and I'm not expecting this to go sour. Like so we had to reshoot that part because I wanted that to work. But
Yeah,
other than that, the library scene, I think we shot 4 or 5 times. And we did camera rehearsals for the boom and stuff. So I used those to figure out the kinks
yeah,
with I just used every camera rehearsal to figure out our nuances and then I just had to let go for the most part, which I mean I talked to Max about that and he was like, yeah, just I've got your back. And I was like, oh, thank you, because we worked together before, so I knew who he is and what he's about and I trust him. And I think
yeah.
that's important.
Good. Yeah, 100%. So do you didn't see the footage until after the filming?
No, I had technical issues. I couldn't watch the footage back on at the end of day one. I was having a hard time the hard drive with the hard drive. So I don't know if I remember what it was some like I was at the iMac just freaking out about like, oh my God, I can't watch it all back. And I decided on the day not to watch back because I just asked Max, are we good? Because I could tell if it felt good and I asked Sam, how do you feel at the end of the take? And then, if he wanted another one or if I was like, I'd like to go again. So it was actually quite fluid that way. And then that's why I had a bit of focus issues in the library when the scene I liked the most, I picked performance. And then Max was like, oh, we hadn't quite, the focus is a bit like blurry in one part. I was like, I think people forgive that because I like the performance in that one the most.
Yeah. Oh,
So.
it's a great job. So then what's the plan now? Are you gonna make another film or like I know you're still acting, of course, but what's the master plan for you?
Oh yeah, I mean screenwriting has become like my favorite thing with kids. It's so child friendly to be like on
Yeah.
the computer writing. So I just found out I'm gonna get a little grant to write something and then like a short film. And if they like what I write, I'll get to the next round. I get to make another short film this summer. And my husband won an award at this like 48-hour film challenge where we had to shoot something in 48 hours. He
Yeah.
got like the dialogue and the prop at 8 p.m. on a Friday and he had to turn it in on Sunday
Yeah.
at 6.
It's a fun little exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, and he loves that kind of stuff to like just keep to keep it exciting and
Yeah.
intense with. And so and he won that one, so he actually gets money now to make a next one. So we're going to shoot one together because again, it's shoestring budget stuff, but and we love to work together. But we also said maybe we should branch out eventually and open it up. So I'm writing now for 4 characters where I probably would not want to be in it.
Okay. And you just want to direct it?
Would like to direct that one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if this is your first directing film, it's a really fantastic job. You really know the camera, fly in the wall kind of aspect. It's like, but you basically knew that you guys like you trusted your performance, which you happen to be half of it too, right? But like this is a really like a film where you can't cut, right? Like so you made the film and it's like there's not much
Yeah,
to
and I
cut
felt
to.
like it couldn't have a score either because I felt like the musicality had to be in the dialogue because it was very
Yeah.
dialogue. I was like, I feel like if I put too much score on it, like it'll just make it too busy, and then I won't know what like those silences that are there are so few and far between that they have to be earned. And I was like, oh, if I now put music under it, I just left it out, and then I was like, okay, I hope that's not going to backfire. And then people were like, oh, some people absolutely noticed. Like there was film composers like, why did you have no sound score? Like why did you like leave it out? And I was like, actually, because I wanted the musicality of the relationship. Like these are people who are like two different instruments trying to talk to each other. And I just
Yeah.
I like the musicality of it.
But
So
it's the rawness of the relationship and the rawness of the film. Like it doesn't need a score, right? So yeah.
yeah, but usually scores are what like pull in my empathy. Like in the cinema, I love a good score that like
Yeah.
it's so effective to get me to feel things.
Well, when you make the feature version, you might need a score when you because
Yeah,
it just
absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, but congratulations. I hope you're able to produce the film as the play as well and get it out there. And if people are listening, watching this on YouTube, you can see your children behind your shoulder
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Family.
And I listen, a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, that's a full-time job in itself, right? So that's
Yeah, it is.
yeah, they're
But it's
I'm assuming they're both in diapers. That's not that's tough.
but luckily there's two of us dealing with it, so
Yeah,
we
look,
have
yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah.
but it's not an easy time, right? For
No,
like, but
it's
it's a
intense.
fun time, but not an easy right? It's
Yeah.
exhausting time, I guess.
Yes, they're both very sick right now. My
Oh,
kids
sorry to
are
hear it.
home from daycare for 10 days. So it's been a bit intense around here. So this was a really beautiful, creative little refuge you've given me to talk
Yeah.
about.
Well,
Like
anytime. Well, like I said, congratulations. Hope you keep making films. I'd love to talk to you again when you make your next film. I actually really want to see what you do next. So,
I really enjoyed being a part of your festival. I'm so happy to meet you and talk to you today.
all right, let's talk again soon then.
I'll be in touch.
Thanks.